Welcome to the RutPOP Podcast. I am just one of your hosts, Zach Rutledge here, along with our other host, Brandon Rutledge. How are you, sir?
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody?
Yo, yo, yo. I like that. Yo, yo, yo. Catch you on the flippity flip.
You're the one who was talking about rap horns and...
Rap horns, baby.
Yeah, rap horns.
Rap horns. That's right.
Yes.
That is right.
It's rock and roll, man.
Rap horns.
Rock and roll.
Okay. So, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man.
I think it's been 3 weeks.
I don't know, man. You tell me. I'm just living.
You just living life?
L-I-V-I-N, man.
L-I-V, I did living life, baby. Living life. A lot has happened in 3 weeks. Like literally, like it's been insane in 3 weeks. So we haven't met or talked since the untimely passing of Chadwick Boseman. So let's just moment of silence for Chadwick, please. Wakanda forever. I'm telling you, man. I'm getting choked up thinking about it because here's a dude.
Yeah, that was awful.
I mean, the dude, shocking, and it was shocking to everybody. And the thing was, even his co-stars, like nobody knew.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, to keep that bottled up inside
in a time when
and to carry yourself as a gentleman the entire time.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I have to make an adjustment with my headset. There we go.
Yeah, simply amazing.
His inner circle kept it completely under wraps.
Yeah.
Didn't
bravo for them.
Again, in a time where things are just vomited out there for everybody to see.
Information's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And they kept it all tight to the chest, and I can't believe it. But the fact that this man was working and doing the physical things that he needed to do, not just Black Panther, the role of Black Panther, but it was losing weight to play roles and then gaining it back to play others and doing all of that.
Yeah. Have you seen Da 5 Bloods yet?
I have. And
what did you think about his performance in Da 5 Bloods?
So in Da 5 Bloods, I didn't realize how little he was going to be in it.
Okay.
So I was a little shocked by that.
I'm hoping he gets up for Best Supporting Actor this year and wins.
I think if he does, I think it's more of, and this is just my opinion, I think it would be more of a honorary, not honorary in the sense of like they're going to give him an honorary Oscar. I think it would be more of this sentimental aspect of being nominated. He was really good. Yeah. Frankly, there hasn't been much out yet. You know what I mean? So it's hard to know like where
what the studios are holding back in December.
Right. And so,
I understand.
I do. I definitely see him being, I mean, Delroy Lindo, like to me was, he was so damn good in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't.
He's wearing a MAGA hat the entire time. Drove me absolutely bonkers.
It's so funny though. Like it's so
phenomenal.
funny. Yeah, it's so
great
funny.
Performance.
It's literally like the Samuel L. Jackson character in Django and shit. Like that was the vibe I got from him by wearing the hat. Like that was his character.
Yeah.
But I didn't love all the choices that Spike Lee did.
Okay.
Let me just put it that way.
Okay. Fair enough.
But there was a lot going for it. Like the thing is like literally since they introduced the idea of landmines in that early on.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for somebody to step on one, and then when it happened, I shouldn't have laughed, and I did, and I felt bad about it because then afterwards he makes you feel absolutely guilty for laughing because of like what happens, right?
It's great foreshadowing,
right? But if
you want to understand what foreshadowing is, like in the film effect, that's a great example,
right? And that honestly, I was just kind of waiting, like it was almost. The anticipation of it was absolutely killing me. Like I'm just like waiting for somebody, and then I knew it was coming when it finally happened. The way that scene was progressing, I was like, oh, he's gonna back right into one.
Right.
And then you felt awful. Like, again, I kind of laughed a little bit because you knew it was happening. And it was almost, for me, it was almost comical when it happened. But then the aftermath, like he's laying there and like he's literally still alive long enough to just scream, like it was awful. Like it was absolutely awful. And then I felt bad for laughing about it. Yeah. But
we should have said spoiler alert.
Well, we didn't say who it happened to.
Okay.
And
there's landmines in the movie.
There's landmines in the movie. And yeah. And if you haven't seen it, it's been out for a while. So where you been?
It's the best film of the year.
Where you been at?
Watch it right now. Stop watching us. Go watch The Five Bloods, and then come back and watch us later.
So again, from a dramatic cinematic standpoint, it was very well done. It was I get where you're saying, but as far as like best movie of the year from an entertainment aspect, I enjoyed the other Netflix film.
You can't even think of the title, folks. It's that bad.
It's that bad. The what's it called? The Last Guard with Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one more.
Okay.
Again, it's not, that one didn't set out to be like overly dramatic or anything like that. Sure. It was just, from an entertainment standpoint, I just enjoyed that more.
Yeah. I enjoyed the movie. I didn't think it was great.
Okay.
I think I watched it last weekend or 2 weekends ago or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Didn't think it was.
Gotcha. Did you ever see Extraction? I mean, as we're going down
have
the Netflix.
Have not seen Extraction yet. Have not seen Extraction yet. I will. I'll check it out.
And we'll circle back to Netflix. But I gotta talk to you about Bill and Ted.
All right, right on.
Give me your thoughts on Bill and Ted. Face the Music.
I loved it.
You loved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loved it. Absolutely, hands down, loved it. Period.
Okay.
You weren't a fan, right?
I wanted to be.
Wanted to be?
I wanted to be.
So did you have technical problems with it? Because I could see that.
I didn't.
Angle.
I didn't. The story flow for me just felt rushed.
Story felt rushed. Like
it just. It was like this weird. I don't know. Everything about it felt forced. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
The idea of them, incorporating the daughters into it, like by the end of it, like they have something to do. It's not even that, because I mean they're basically gathering the troops and everything, but I don't know. Okay. It was a convoluted mess. Like it was a mess. It was a mess of a movie. Here's the thing: I was smiling from ear to ear the entire time I was watching it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would literally turn it on right now and watch it again.
Yeah, I think I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now.
I'm just not. I don't know. It was just like.
So for me, I kind of read between the lines.
Okay.
Read between the lines of the story, man, and kind of try to find yourself.
Okay.
So I grew up with these guys. I think I was 8 when the first movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
So saying dude bogus was cool to me, through like my entire teenage years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the movie was more about like, when I was young, like, growing up watching MTV, watching, all these movies from the 80s and 90s, I felt like I was going to be famous. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I felt like everybody in America was going to have their 15 minutes of fame or whatever.
Okay.
I truly believed that. And the weight put on these guys' shoulders was so massive. I kind of felt like that. At this point in my life, I kind of feel like a failure because, I'm not rich and famous or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, when I was younger, growing up in America, that's what I felt I was going to be. So to me, the movie is more about like coming to terms with your own mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, what I'm trying to do in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Popcorn.
Lots of popcorn.
So for me, it was a touching story that, kind of resonated with me.
Okay.
It also, made me think about coming to terms with your own death. They literally in the movie make peace with death.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that, the subtlety, between the lines of the narrative is kind of where I went with it.
Okay.
I'm not trying to go deep on you.
You're reading a lot more into that movie than I was.
But yeah, those are kind of where I went with it, man.
Okay. And again, that's the thing. It's all subjective. Like it's
right.
You know, that's we've said this before. Movies, TV shows, video games. Music is no different than art. Art is subjective, and so is this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these forms of entertainment are subjective. You're not going to please everybody. And
Sure.
again, for me, it always comes back to, was I entertained?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I absolutely was.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd go watch it right now.
I've been listening to the soundtrack like in my headphones the past couple of weeks. Yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
Hey,
have you seen the Comic-Con feature that's featured with it?
No.
Wow, it's really good.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Well, see, I watched it. Yeah, because I was on the road when it came out,
Okay.
and so I just downloaded it, and I didn't like watch it, stream it. You know what I mean? Like
Didn't
downloaded.
do the extra features.
No, because I didn't have the internet capacity to because those are never
Gotcha.
downloaded. They're only available actually as a streaming
on the Apple television,
right.
Apple
Exactly.
TV.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you have to have like a good internet source to actually be like watching the special features. Unfortunately,
So they have the entire Bill and Ted Comic-Con panel and the extra features, hosted by Kevin Smith.
Okay.
And it's really good. I highly recommend watching that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
along with the movie.
yeah, absolutely.
Made me appreciate it a lot more. You know, I went right into it right after the movie.
Right.
You know, just kind of brought it all home for me.
Right.
Yeah, I just really been enjoying it the past few weeks.
And I get it. Like I said, I'm sure that subtext is there. I just, when I was watching it, I think I was getting taken away because of what I felt were these strange story holes in it. And like and I could say this a lot about, I'll say this about another movie that we're going to talk about here in a second, but like, I feel like if that movie was a half an hour longer or something, you know what I'm saying? Or 45 minutes longer. Like I could have lasted another 45 minutes. That was the thing. When it was over, I was like, what? That was it?
It goes by quick.
It goes by really fast. And that's the thing. It felt rushed to me because of that. And I feel like I know nobody wants to see 45 extra minutes added to their runtime or any whatever. But I feel like here's the deal is all the performers in that movie are so good. I could watch them for 45 more minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And give them more time. Like give the girls more time.
William Sadler's
William Sadler stole the damn show. Like he was so good.
So good.
And so
fantastic.
But he's in it
like the best personification of death since the Seventh Seal.
But he's in it this much.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Ingmar Bergman's Seventh Seal? It's from the 50s. It's Ingmar Bergman. It kind of like brought the Scandinavian filmmaking to America in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Bill and Ted Bogus Journey, and the new one that's literally homage to Ingmar Bergman.
Sure.
With that personification of death. So just from that standpoint, it's awesome. So it's best personification of death, since the 1950s, in my opinion.
Right.
And in the Face the Music.
Yeah. And I shouldn't. And the thing is like a movie like that, like I there is a level where you could dive deep into it and really dive into that subtext and figure out what they were trying to say as filmmakers. Mm-hmm. But then I feel like when you start doing that, then that also requires me to dive into those story holes that I'm talking about. And I shouldn't, if I'm overanalyzing the movie, then I start overanalyzing the story holes in it. And, motivation was a big problem with me, like why people were motivated to do what they were doing and the decisions that they were, making and everything like that. There were that motivation holes for me in there, like the even the flip of a switch for Death to go ahead and join him back up. Really, their apology to him was really no different than what they had already kind of given him early on, like when they first started talking to him. And so for him to all of a sudden be like I felt like the only reason he decided, I'm going to join back up with the band this time was because the story dictated it. So as opposed to him actually coming to the realization that he was wrong and they were both wrong, and you know what I mean? And
yeah, but I mean, if you think about it from a more artistic point of view, their daughters are the ones who help them make peace with death. People they, when they see that their kids are going to pass on their genetics, they're going to pass on who they literally are to
Right.
to future generations.
Right.
It can help them come to terms with death, and and be able to move on from your own death.
Like I said, the subtext is there, and I get it. You pointing it out to me, totally understand it. I can see it from that angle. I just, as I start thinking more and more about, I need to watch it again. I need to watch it one more time, if not multiple more times. I think to really appreciate what it was doing on that level, and then maybe it'll, maybe I'll be able to find the story holes that I feel like I'm missing. And it just, if we've talked about this before, time travel movies are a mess anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
they're not possible.
They're not possible. But the, just all of it in general, like they're sending, the whole future thing, like it was just weird. It was messy.
And last time you brought up Interstellar. When we talked about the time travel stuff again, I don't want to harp on it again, but you brought up Interstellar that night, and I didn't really mention it. But Interstellar does a great job of intermingling science fact with science fiction, and I can see where the lines can be blurred there. Sure, because they do such a good job of mixing science fact with science fiction. Right. But yeah, the time travel stuff, that's fiction.
It's again,
so the black hole, that's like the massive gravity can warp space and time. Sure. So it can warp it, bend it, change it. Yeah. So I mean,
you've hit that like 3 times.
I apologize. Interstellar does a great job of showing that. Right. Time change on that planet when they go, and all the time passes. Right. For a few seconds. So I mean, it does a great job of that.
But even like at the end of Interstellar, you're like, well, wait, which came first, the chicken or the egg here? Like, because the egg
comes first,
right? But he had to be in that spot to help along. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't have been there if he didn't give that information ahead of time. So then, like, how was he there without giving the? See what I'm saying?
That's the fiction,
right? That's the messy part. And again, not to. I mean, I don't want the whole episode to be about Bill and Ted, but
I don't either. I don't want it to be about time travel.
Right? We don't want to go down the damn time travel black rabbit hole. But that's again. Those were some of the things where I feel like just from a messy storytelling standpoint, I love you delivering that context to me is going to make me rewatch that movie in a brand new way. And so I'd be very curious to go back and watch it. It's still on my iPad. Like I leave again on Monday or something. I'm like, it's going to be like, that's going to be the thing I watch on the plane. And so I want to, I can't wait to see it again.
I mean, the Seventh Seal, it's a 1950s dark comedy about somebody trying to cheat death by playing a game of chess with them. Okay. That's like what the Seventh Seal is about.
Gotcha.
It's, to a modern audience, it can be a little bit boring, but it is worth the time investment, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Along with Face the Music.
Gotcha. I'll check that one. Look, that's the thing, is everybody should watch Bill and Ted Face the Music. It was a long time in the making.
But I truly think that entire trilogy stands on the shoulders of the Seventh Seal. I truly feel like that, as probably as well as Don Quixote. I would trace,
the Seventh Seal does.
The Seventh Seal, okay. Bill and Ted, like that, the relationship of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. Two crazy characters, okay, being combined together. I think they stand on the shoulders of those classics.
Gotcha. Okay. And again, no spoilers here with Bill and Ted. I'm not going to dive into the movie set. Like, let's I want to at least watch it one more time, if not a couple more times, and then we'll revisit it in a few podcasts later, where we can actually kind of talk about it, and and maybe we do a rewatch of all 3. Like, cool. Watch the first one, the second one, and the third one, and kind of see them all together. I'm curious how they all play together now. Yeah. After all of it. Obviously the other streaming side of things, again, because it's kind of the world we're living in right now, is which I'm sure you did not watch this, but Mulan hit the Disney Plus premiere. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't care.
Before you say that, hold on. As far as Disney remakes go, okay, the animated remakes and everything, okay, it's the best one they've done.
Really?
Okay. It's a beautiful movie.
Okay. Okay.
It's very much, if you want an introductory movie to get your kids to watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, this is the movie to do it.
Really?
Like, it's so similar.
Cool.
That being said, it also felt very rushed. Like, it was weird. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I said, here's my problem. It feels rushed, and yet I was checking my watch the majority of the time. Like, it's that kind of weird pacing.
Okay.
So, I haven't seen the numbers yet. Like, what Disney hasn't released them yet. And I'm kind of curious because they did still release it in theaters across the world. Like, there are, select theaters that are running it. In theaters, it's only made like a little over $10 million at this point, and it's only been out for a week. But I'm really curious to see if they end up releasing the subscriber numbers, because again, it was a separate subscription for $30 or whatever to unlock the premiere access or whatever they called it. The movie cost $200 million to make. I did find out that number. So $200 million, and that includes the advertising budget. It's not going to take much for it to make its money back and make a huge profit. So I'm very curious to see the sign now is, if it does well, do they do Black Widow that way? Do they release Black Widow that way?
Well, Black Widow is going straight to HBO Max.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
There's a deal between Fox and HBO where they get all the Fox's releases right away.
It's not a Fox release. It's a Marvel release.
No, it's a Fox release.
Black Widow is Marvel and Disney.
You can Google it, man.
I will, because you're absolutely wrong. You're 100% wrong.
It's going straight to HBO Max.
You're 100% wrong.
It's going to HBO Max first, just because of a long-standing deal. A deal that's ending soon, mind you. But it's a long-standing deal, and it's like more of like a back-end contract, on the back-end type of deal between HBO and Max.
You're 100% wrong, just so you know.
I read an article about it
100%
last week. Man.
Currently, it still has a November 6th release date. It is a Disney-owned property. Marvel owns. Disney and Marvel
I'm telling
own.
you, it's a Fox deal between HBO Max.
I
read an article about it last week, man.
I don't know if you got something confused.
Where are you getting information? I hope it's not CNET, because last time we reported on CNET, they were wrong.
On CNET, what do you mean?
Yeah, it went on CNET when we reported about Bill and Ted.
Oh,
and I was upset about
they
it.
They changed that, because that was
CNET reporting, and I
saw that on
that was bogus.
Right.
Man.
Well, I saw that on multiple, but I saw that on multiple things after the CNET deal. I think what happened, my opinion is that they got bad publicity about it, because not only that, but on Twitter, I was talking to several entertainment people that run entertainment websites like Collider and Ain't It Cool News or whatever, and they all were reporting the exact same thing, and they were all trying to justify the price for a 7-day rental. So everybody thought that was the case. So my guess is it was getting, like they did with the Mulan thing, they probably got a little bit bad. They were like, let's just unlock the damn thing.
Orion's probably making a ton of money right now, and they're probably happy with the decision that they ended up making by having Bill and Ted come out. You can buy it for $24.99 or rent it for $19.99.
Right.
I imagine Orion is extremely happy right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a Marvel Disney release. Marvel may release Black Widow via Disney streaming. Marvel could release Black Widow via Disney Plus. It's all Disney, bub. It's not Marvel. Marvel and Disney own Black Widow.
I don't remember where I read that article. It was on IMDb. So it was like a link I found on IMDb.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Went to a different one.
I don't know what that is, because
IMDb, the internet database.
No, I don't know. I don't know what link you could be watching or reading, because Black Widow is a Disney Marvel property. It's not HBO. They would never sniff HBO Max.
Oh, God, I'm thinking of New Mutants.
New Mutants, sure.
Oh, that's where. Okay, my bad. Yeah, that's Yeah, that's old Duder's head being
Okay.
messed up.
Okay. You were freaking me out, man.
No,
I was like,
yeah, my bad. I'm thinking of New Mutants, man. Yeah, New Mutants is going to HBO.
I could, yeah, I wondered if there was some kind of weird backdoor deal with that.
I apologize.
Okay. Because it was weird. They didn't.
I had them mixed up in my head.
Because New Mutants is in theaters right now and actually not doing that poorly in theaters. And neither.
That one's going to HBO Max because of the Fox deal with HBO.
And I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, Black Widow's, Avengers. I'm in different Marvel universes.
Yeah.
I got my universes crossed.
I mean, there's still Marvel properties, but it's mutants, not.
Yeah, it's as Fred Savage says in Once Upon a Time in Deadpool.
I haven't watched that version yet.
I watched it here at your house.
I haven't watched that version yet.
It's in your stack of shame.
It's dude. It's gotten the stack of shame is out of damn control.
No, Fred Savage, that's hilarious. He points out the difference between the two Marvel universes.
I love how meta he gets, man. It's so good.
Yeah, Fred Savage is hilarious in that movie, man.
It's so good.
It's totally worth seeing that PG-13 Deadpool just for Fred Savage. He is savage.
But yeah, it's in my stack of shame. Like you point out. It's my stack of shame is shameful.
I watched about it was before I went to pick you up at the airport.
Okay.
I was watching it and I was running out of time.
Oh no!
So I was about halfway through the movie, so I just started fast forwarding to the Fred Savage parts. So I should probably still
skipping the movie.
Yeah,
because the movie they toned down, right?
They toned it down. I still would like to watch it to see if any of the PG-13 jokes hit.
Gotcha.
But I ended up just fast forwarding to the Fred Savage parts.
That's hilarious. That's really funny.
Yeah.
So back on the streaming side of things, and I know you were not the biggest fan. I don't even think you made it through the whole series, but right before I left, I discovered the Netflix mini docuseries High Score, and I loved it. I thought it was a freaking blast. Now, like you pointed out, there was a lot of information in there that I already knew.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? But
it kind of glosses over the history. It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't dive like super deep into it or anything like that. Because again, that was built for entertainment value more than anything.
And I could see somebody who doesn't know anything about video games enjoying that a lot.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't know a lot about video. I know some, and I still really enjoyed it. I loved the way it was shot. I loved the way that they edited the thing. I thought the music was fun. The intro was cool. It was fun to, like I said, it was fun to watch. And what was, to me, again, what was fun was the information that they were presenting. Like you said, it was kind of like an overview of it. And for somebody like me or even you that knew a lot of what that story was, you don't need a retelling of it. Like it's not there to break necessarily new ground, but it's enough information to be like, kind of in our brains replaying how things even deeper into that story. But then it gives people, like my wife watched it, and it gives her that doesn't know anything about it going, wow, that's really interesting, and maybe wanting to look up more about it.
Really?
Right?
It gave her more context. To why you are who you are.
Well, even that. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, there was a lot of like, her sitting there going, nerds, but it was a lot of our childhood. And that's what kept me thinking about video games in general was I feel like, I don't necessarily know if it's classified, and maybe you know this. I don't know if there's a classification for it. I feel like we grew up in the golden age of video games.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
We've had everything. We've had the Ataris.
Yeah.
We've had the Nintendos, the Segas, the Super Nintendos, the
Genesis,
the
Dreamcast.
Well, Sega Genesis, whatever. The Dreamcast,
PS 1, 2, 3, and 4.
All the PlayStation, like all the handhelds, like we were born
the Virtual Boy.
Don't hold on, you're getting way ahead of yourself. But we grew up in like what I consider that golden era of video games, and really that golden era is like leading up to, probably the PlayStation, like that PlayStation, first Xbox, like that's kind of where
you would end.
That's where I would end the golden era.
Okay.
There are so many advancements in technology, obviously beyond that, but after the Xbox, PlayStation era, we really got down to three competitor. Like it's three people instead of, there was still so many, even right up into that PlayStation, there were still a lot of other people trying to dabble in it, and a lot of types of video game systems and everything like that.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we can get into the history or whatever. I don't really want to do a deep dive on video games and everything, but
tune in later.
So let's just kind of fast forward. We'll fast forward past nerds at MIT developing the first basic asteroid game or moonlander game or whatever, all the way through the 60s, and we'll get into the 70s where they were, Atari was really starting to develop what they wanted, or not even Atari, but I'm sorry, Atari was developing arcades. And people were developing arcade machines and arcade cabinets and things like that. That's the one thing that I feel like our generation kind of missed out on. We had some arcades, growing up in the 80s.
Yeah, I used to love going to, play an arcade. Or if I went to a Pizza Hut, they had an arcade.
Quarters.
Quarters.
Right. But I mean, that was like one game or two games. It was different.
It wasn't a big arcade with hundreds of boxes.
I mean, by the time we were old enough to really kind of take ourselves, because I felt like I was ever taken to an arcade. The only arcade that I feel like I ever really got to experience was the arcade at Disneyland in California.
That one was awesome.
And it was a really cool arcade room.
Yeah.
And the main thing I remember from that arcade was walking in and begging my mom for $1. It cost a damn $1 to play that Dragon's Lair game that I would survive about 30 seconds in.
Yeah.
And then it was $1. $1.
Those games are impossible.
That Dragon's Lair game is stupid. And what cracked me up when I saw the newest season of Stranger Things, and they're trying to play that stupid Dragon's Lair game. And I was just like, oh my God. I just started laughing, and Rachel's like, what are you laughing? Like, my wife doesn't get it. Yeah. She never played Dragon's Lair. She doesn't understand the frustration of that stupid video game that cost $1.
Yeah.
That game cost $1.
And it's impossible.
You would die in 30 seconds. Like, I still don't understand how to play that stupid game, because it was all animated. It was like a Don Bluth animated, whatever, and it was like it's literally
all goofily.
Well, that's the thing. Honestly, it's kind of like the games like well, they use like quick attacks now in some games, right? So
QuickTime events.
QuickTime events. Thank you.
Yeah.
But games like the game I just finished, Detroit Become Human, or Beyond Two Souls. It's that kind of like, click your button here, click your button here, click your button here. Like, that's what that game was. It was kind of like a choose your own adventure, quick attack system, right? I just could never get it to work.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I hit the button that way, and nothing ever had. And I was like, that game is broken. That game is a money suck, just steal your money kind of arcade game. That's what I remember from the arcades, because we didn't really grow up. We grew up in the console era.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember going to like Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese, and they had like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, see,
arcade.
again, that's I don't count those as arcades. I don't count Showbiz or Showbiz / Chuck E. Cheese as arcades. Like, there were so many. Those are like, they had arcade cabinets there. Not many. Most of them were ticket games.
Those were my experiences. Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there was an X-Men game where you could have like you could have all 4 Turtles or 4 X-Men, and they were like side scrolling, and they were just beat 'em ups. Those are the arcades,
dude.
that I played.
You and I hit I don't know if it was Showbiz or Chuck E. Cheese at the time. It might have been Chuck E. Cheese at the time. You and I hit whatever it was, Chuck E. Cheese. And we dominated that Turtles game. We stayed there until we beat it.
I remember beating that game.
It cost us like $20 or something.
Yeah, who knows?
We just stopped. We would not stop putting quarters in that stupid thing.
Yeah.
But we dominated that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same way with the X-Men game. The X-Men game, like you said, was very similar to that. I actually have. So at my office, in our office building, there's a tenant there. I think he's a lawyer, and he's a huge arcade cabinet collector, and he's got so many of them. He's donated the majority of his collection to my office building, and so on the first floor,
That's awesome.
there's an arcade room with and X-Men is one of the games that he usually keeps in there, and it's free.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. Here's the problem: we're living in COVID, and so that door's been closed since March. It's painful, dude. You walk by and you just see that door, and you know what's behind it.
Those machines probably weren't the most sanitary things.
Oh God, no! But that's how you build your immunity up.
Yeah. So, just real quick side note: there's a series we've been talking about, the High Score series on Netflix. There's an anime series on Netflix called High Score Girl. It's an anime, and it's set in like the late 80s, early 90s, and it's about this little boy who loves Street Fighter 2, and he's always going to the arcade in Japan to play Street Fighter 2. But then all of a sudden, this girl beats him, and he becomes obsessed with beating this girl.
That's funny.
And she's mute, she doesn't talk, but she's like she likes him, she's infatuated with him, so she like loves him, little kid.
So it's a fictional story.
Gotcha. But it's built around Street Fighter 2. The whole thing is, and at the end of each episode, they give you a little lesson, a little history lesson about Street Fighter 2 or another arcade game. But I highly recommend watching that.
Okay.
Kind of gives you the feel for that era, at least in Japan.
Sure. It's
a fun series. They've done 2 seasons.
Was probably my favorite part of the High Score one, was the Street Fighter episode where like they were training dudes to compete in Street Fighter. Did you see that? Did you make it that far?
I didn't make it that far.
It was so funny.
Is it?
It's so like they train, like all of a sudden it's like these little scrawny Japanese nerds like running around like lifting weights and stuff, and it was funny. Cracking me up, man. It was so funny.
That's funny. Yeah, check High Score Girl.
High Score Girl. I'm sure if it's on Netflix.
Yep. It's a Netflix anime series.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites series on Netflix.
Very cool. So we didn't really grow up during the arcade craze, but we kind of got into the consoles. And here's the thing that I'm trying to wrap my brain around. The Atari 2600 was like in the 80s, like early 80s, like 82, 83 or something like that, right? Nintendo, the NES came out in 85?
Yeah, 85. I think it was 84 in Japan, and maybe to like limited markets.
Okay.
In 84.
Good, because the Famicom, I think the Famicom came out, or like before that in Japan, and then when they ported it over to America and became the NES. Here's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, just personally, is, I didn't get an NES until I was probably 13 years old.
Really?
And so I'm trying to do the math on that. Like that thing was out for 8 years.
Yeah.
Before I ever sniffed it.
I got one like Christmas 85.
So you had one when you were 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the like insane excitement of that Christmas. It was the huge box. It came with Rob.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had the Rob unit.
It came with Mario. It came with Gyromite.
Okay.
I had that huge box.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to figure out how to hook up the Nintendo to the television.
At 5 years old?
At 5 years old, because none of my parents and grandparents, none of them could figure it out.
Like, I can't even imagine, like, Jackson trying to do that at 5 years old.
5 years old, I figured out how to plug in my Nintendo and play Mario.
And I was still, I rocked
Christmas 85. So I had just turned 5.
That's crazy to think that you got it in 85.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you got it.
It had the gun. It had the light gun. It had Hogan's Alley. Like it had everything.
Did you have the gray gun or the red gun?
I had a gray gun.
Okay, mine was when I finally got mine, it was the red gun.
Yeah.
And all I got was the Mario Duck Hunt combo game. That was all I got.
Yeah.
Because you even had the pad.
The trackpad.
Trackpad.
Yeah, you could play the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to like run really. It
never worked. Like I
remember
trying to play it at your house and it never worked.
Well, I would cheat it. I would like
sit on the ground and bang on it.
Yeah, you use your hands, like play it like a drum. But yeah, running on it. I mean, you could, but I mean, you had to like barely lift your feet off the ground.
Okay.
You had to like tiptoe that.
Yeah.
To get it to work with your feet.
It's probably no different than actually trying to turn the system on. You had to figure out exactly how to do it, and then once you figured out your way of doing it, it would work. No one could start this car but me. But so that would have been, I wouldn't have gotten one until 93. And like I said, I felt like you had it. I mean, I felt like you had it early. I just didn't think you got it release year at all. Yeah. That's crazy. I rocked that Atari 2600 for years, man.
Yeah, I remember going to your house and you were playing like E.T., and I could not figure that game out for the life of me.
Nobody could figure E.T. out, bro. Nobody could figure E.T. was the worst. Here's the thing. So, and this is what I get back to, and this is why I want to go back to the timeline.
Whereas I was playing like Super Mario Brothers at my house, and I was making Mario run like a madman.
Right. So let me back up though. So that's kind of my point with the timeline. Okay, is NES comes out in 85. The NES saved the video game franchise or video game world with because in 83
there was
the video game industry crashed, and it was because of games like E.T. It wasn't only because everybody points a finger at E.T. and says E.T. was what killed the video game industry. That's not the case. Atari killed it because of E.T. was a big problem, but their port for Pac-Man, in my opinion, is what was even worse than E.T. because Pac-Man was such a popular coin-op arcade cabinet game.
Yeah.
And when they ported that over to Atari, it was 100% different.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I recently read an article from the guy who made Pac-Man originally. I can't remember his name, but he actually designed it for dates. Like he wanted, a couple to go out on a date and
play it together.
And play it together. That's kind of how he designed it.
Okay.
It's a date game, like a date. You go to a date movie. It's a date game.
Okay.
Is kind of what he designed it for.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's funny that you bring that up, because the home market it failed.
Right. Well, I mean, and the reason it failed was because of what it looked like and the way it worked and the way it moved and everything. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And that was really between that and like right after that was when E.T. came out. It was like literally back to back. And during that same time, you had everybody and their mother was making video games for the Atari, right? And it wasn't even just the Atari. You had other systems coming out that were Atari clones, because Atari didn't use any proprietary materials to build it, right? So other manufacturers could take the exact same parts and build basically the same cabinet and call it something completely different, and you could play Atari games on it. And it was oversaturating the market. Just think about that now. Think about like some third party with no oversight making a game for Xbox, and Xbox has no control over that, but yet it's allowed to be played on an Xbox. No. Like, I mean, that's what people are doing though with modding and different things like that. Like, but you're not going to be, you can't go to a store and buy that. And that's what was happening there were reports of dog food manufacturers doing giveaways of their own dog food type video game, like Feed the Puppy type video game. And you buy their dog food, you get a little coupon, and then you send away for a Atari video game. It didn't have the Atari logo on it. It just played on your Atari 2600. Like that's what it was.
That's crazy.
And those games were like $4, $5. And so when you would go to the store, the walls would be loaded with like $10, $4, $5 video games that were just junk. And then when you did get official Atari games, you got Pac-Man and E.T. And the bottom fell out.
The one I remember playing as a young person was Pitfall. And I remember that one being kind of fun.
There were a lot of fun Atari games. There were games I loved. Yar's Revenge was a blast.
I don't remember that one.
It was like this. It was like this little bug that would eat away at like a wall, and you had to like get a bullet through the wall to take out Yar or whatever. It was something crazy like that.
I remember there was a Dig Dug port that was kind of fun too.
Dig Dug?
Yeah, there was a Dig Dug Atari port.
Oh yeah, Dig Dug. Yeah, I love Dig Dug.
I thought that one was fun.
I loved Dig Dug. Dig Dug was the best. And Thanks for the follow, Crazy Razy. It's a great name, Crazy Razy.
Is that what that sound was in my headphones?
Yes, that was the alert. What's up, Crazy Razy? I like that. What else was there? There was another one where you had a shield and all you could do was like throw the shield out. I can't think what that one was called though.
Is it Rygar?
Rygar.
That was NES, wasn't it?
Was it Rygar on NES?
Rygar's was NES. I don't remember it being on Atari.
I'm looking that up to make sure because I felt like it was on. I felt like I had Rygar for years.
Really?
And so here's where I go back to with the timeline though. And this is what I'm trying to wrap my head around. Is I had an Atari 2600 to the point where I could remember having an Atari 2600, and I had it for years. But that means that I got an Atari 2600 after the video game crash of '83.
Yeah.
Right. And I was still able to get a copy of E.T. Help me figure that out.
When did they go in the landfill?
83.
Really?
That's my point. Right?
Still a few copies flying around.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how did I get
a used copy or something?
I can't figure it out.
That documentary is really good. Where they go to the landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico, to see if all the ET cartridges.
Yes,
cartridges are
Atari Game Over is a fantastic documentary.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, Atari Game. It's called Atari Game Over. Zach Penn did it.
Okay.
Same guy that wrote the movie version of Ready Player One, and I mean it's phenomenal. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's where I was stationed when I was stationed in New Mexico.
Okay.
At Holloman Air Force Base in Alamogordo, New Mexico. It's like right between Alamogordo and White Sands.
Okay.
White Sands National Park.
Gotcha.
And they were filming the first Transformers movie when I was there. So that town in that documentary is where they filmed the
Rygar was available for the Atari.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. So you had it for Atari and for NES. Because I remember going to your house and playing Rygar on the NES.
Maybe I only had it for the NES. I don't know.
I remember going to your house and playing it on the NES, and I was terrible at it, but you were good at it.
That's probably the case. I see. That's the thing. I'm having a hard time remembering of what games I had for the Atari. I just knew that was the system I had. Like I said, I believe it was my 13th birthday was when I got the NES. It was like I got the NES and you were getting the Super Nintendo at the time. Turd. I was always like one system behind you guys.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're poor.
I had a great childhood. I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna sugarcoat
I'm not gonna
it.
I had a great childhood. I love my childhood.
It's hilarious. I did it. I feel like I had my Game Boy before I had a Nintendo.
Really?
I feel like it. I could be wrong. It's all kind of blurred,
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like those systems were around for so long that they start blurring the lines between years.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because wasn't. It's not like. I mean, even now, like you feel like there's a new system being released like every other year or something. Like that's not the case. No. Like PlayStation 4 has been out since 2006.
I don't remember.
2012.
It's been a while.
2012.
It's been a while.
Yeah, that's my point. Like it's like we're coming up, I think at least 8 years on the PlayStation 4. Yeah. Now they did do a refresh with the PS4 Pro, right? And you've had refreshes on the Xbox and everything like that. But yeah, I just feel like that timeline has been blurred because of how long the NES really stayed around. And I didn't even get updated.
It did have legs.
It had severe legs. And it had legs. And they even did a refresh of that system where it was a top loader.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the Famicom was. That's what they wanted to do in America.
Right. The Famicom was a top loader. It always was a top loader.
Yeah. I mean,
colors on it were ugly.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to keep dust out of the system so you don't have to blow on the cartridges all the time.
Oh, God. It was just phenomenal. and you couldn't just, it had to everybody's system was different. And again, it goes back to the Biff statement. Like nobody could start this car but me. Like it was like you had to get it in.
Yeah, nobody can start.
And then mine was mine was a double punch. Mine was a double punch. You'd have to that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So I had multiple Nintendos.
Of course you did.
And there was one of them worked, the original one. That one worked perfectly its entire lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
It was phenomenal, a phenomenal machine. It worked perfect.
Okay.
Then I got this one, and you had to like press the cartridge down on top of it, and you had to like make it snap down, like right on top of the edge. And
oh yeah, you had to have it out just a little bit. I had a few of those where you had to have it out just a little bit, and then it had to almost like rim.
Yeah, it had to step down.
Had to kind of put.
It had to like step down.
And there's a reason
by pressing against the plastic.
There's a reason behind it. Like there's like I've seen like a tear down of the system, and there was a reason why it was doing those kinds of things. Like I said, I never got the top down. I mean, the one I got was the standard, slot with the door. I had the red. It was so late in the process at that point. I had the red gun and then the one cartridge that had the Mario and Duck Hunt option on it, and then it was just, like I said, it was just incredible what Nintendo was able to come out and do to save the video game industry. And they didn't just save it, like they dominated. You had Nintendo Power. Like everything was Nintendo, right? Mm-hmm. If you didn't have a Nintendo in your house, I felt like a damn loser. Like, let me put it that way. Like having an Atari for the majority of my early childhood and not a Nintendo, I felt like a damn loser. Like you needed a Nintendo. And then the Sega came out. And then all of a sudden the Sega became the cool kid on the block. Nintendo was for kids. Like that's what cracked me up. It was you almost became the loser by having because at that point they came out with their Super Nintendo, like right after the Sega Genesis came out. And you almost like didn't want to admit that you had the Super Nintendo. It eventually it flipped, back, and Super Nintendo was the cool thing again, or they kind of were in the same. But when Sega finally dominated the market and beat Nintendo in sales and everything, and it was Sonic that pushed them over the edge, because until Sonic came out, and then they did some great marketing. They did fantastic. Sega does everything Nintendo don't. I mean, that was like the best marketing ever, right? And their hit, their slogan, that the Sega, that right there was like brilliant. It was brilliant marketing on Sega's part to become the bad boys. They were the Detroit Pistons of the video game world at that point. Like Sonic had attitude. The video game system was going to have attitude. But then what cracked me up is when they started trying to become Nintendo. And they started to try to dominate other platforms. So you had Nintendo, you had Nintendo Power, you had remember the Mario television show? And then every Friday you'd get the Link, the Legend of Zelda cartoon or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I used to like rush home from school to watch the Mario show.
Yeah. Oh my God. We all loved the Mario show.
Yeah.
But then you had Sega trying to play the same game, and they had the Sonic television, the anime television show. They had Sega Visions. Remember that stupid magazine?
I don't.
Oh my God. See, you got Nintendo Power, you had Nintendo.
I've been a fanboy since 84 or 85,
right.
Whatever.
Right.
I've been a fanboy almost my entire life.
Right.
And I still am.
Right. Well, no, I know. But I had Sega, and I had Sega Visions and not Nintendo Power. I think I had like one Nintendo Power or something like that. I don't know. It was at the first issue. It was like one of the issues where Mario was like claymation. You remember that? You remember that cover?
Yeah. It was Mario 2.
Yeah, and it
was like being chased by Wart.
And the one I remember, the reason I remember that, I'm pretty sure it was that one. It could have been my Sega Visions again. My brain could be schmutz right now.
Yeah.
But there was an advertisement for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie on one of the back covers of that, and I just remember I would just stare at that thing for hours.
That's awesome.
Just visualizing what that movie was going to be like. And then, but once they started trying to be Nintendo, that's when things just kind of like in my opinion, they just started kind of chasing their tails. But Nintendo's not without their faults. I mean, they had some crap come out.
Yeah. I mean, the Power Glove is one that sticks out in my
Oh
mind
my God, the
from
Power
years.
Glove.
I could not get that stupid thing to work.
Nobody could. Remember how cool they made it look in The Wizard?
Yeah.
Like that old Fred
dude was
Savage movie?
Yeah, that dude was amazing.
Oh my God. Like the dude was playing like, no, he didn't play Mario. He was playing,
He was playing like Rad Racer.
or
something.
And he's like,
that.
and he's just like whooping kids' butt or whatever with the power. They like have it in a box and they like open it up. And as a kid, I didn't understand all that was a giant like marketing commercial for the Power Glove. I had no idea that's what that was. Because I was just like, I just remember sitting, I was just, oh my God, I have to have the Power Glove.
Yeah.
You didn't see the ridiculous thing that you had to put around your TV to get the stupid Power Glove to work. But think about it. Like Nintendo,
they were doing wearables.
They were doing wearables already, and they were
then.
doing motion tracking already.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
It is pretty cool.
And I go even fast forwarding and going to when they came out with the Wii. Again, even though we were adults when the Wii came out, I didn't appreciate until now what the Wii was doing. That Wii, that was before iPhones or anything, and that Wii was showing us the future of apps and saying, this is an entertainment system. You're going to be able to get you are getting your weather, you're getting your shopping, you're going to do it all from this system. You're going to do it all. This is how you're going to live your life. You're going to do it all from apps. And when you look at that interface on the Wii, what does it look like?
It's the same as like the iPhone interface.
It looks just like an Apple TV does now. It looks just like same as a Roku. It looks just the same as a Fire Stick. You hadn't seen anything like it until that Wii came out. Nintendo, the people behind Nintendo, for all of the Power Gloves and Virtual Boys they have given us in the years, they were innovators.
Yeah.
And more so than even what Apple's done and Microsoft has done. The people at Nintendo are geniuses. They've given us, they've just bottled it up in a entertainment, package, right? An entertainment 12 pack. But what they have done with all of these innovations has paved the way. The same way Lucas paved the way for the way movies are made today, Nintendo back in the 80s was paving the way for the way video games were going to be, and entertainment was going to be digested. And not just video games, but movies and television and things like that. I just didn't appreciate what the Wii was doing back then until recently. And I fired up the Wii and I was looking at it and I go, this is the Apple TV interface. Like literally I was like, oh my God, like that's what it is. And you don't really see, like even now, like with like the Switch and stuff, it's not that, it doesn't look like that style or anything like that. And you really don't, I mean, Microsoft has done their own thing with Xbox. They all wanted to match and mimic what they're doing with Windows and everything because it's all Microsoft. PlayStation has had the same style for a while now. Since they went to like a hub screen like that, and the PS3, I think, was when they went to the hub kind of deal. But again, even Sega, you got, now they're, just like Atari, they kind of went the way of the dodo like Atari did when it came to systems, and now they're just developing games and making games for all these other systems and stuff. But Sega, I think you got to give them their dues. Without Sega, I don't know if they would have pushed. I wonder if Nintendo would have come up with the innovations they came up with, because I feel like with Sega nipping at their heels the majority of their infancy, I wonder if that pushed them forward a little bit and helped them come up with more creative, idea. I mean, the Sega, what was it? The Dreamcast was I think it was the first video game system to come out with internet connectivity with an actual LAN port, or I think it was a phone jack at the time. But the idea was to use it as an internet hub, like to be able to dial in and access the internet. And then right behind that came the PlayStation 2, which had that broadband expansion pack.
Yeah, I remember playing SOCOM on PS2.
Oh, so crack, baby.
Yeah.
And EverCrack.
And EverQuest.
Oh man, dude, we put some nights into EverQuest.
Yeah. Yeah, those were fun.
It was a blast. It was a blast, and
that was my entrance into
online gaming. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I had never played
SOCOM
like
and EverQuest.
SOCOM. I never played anything like that before in my life. And I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but you think about, when the Atari came out and you were playing games like that on your home television. Again, there were so many different varieties of video game systems at that time. Like, it wasn't just Atari; it was like things that would hook up to your television in a certain way, and some of them like came with a television and different things. But at the time, or even at that time, the home computer was still like the way to really game. Like, it was still a more powerful machine, and people like Apple were coming out with advertisements and saying, why just settle for just something that'll play video games when you can have best of both worlds? The problem was the price. The home computer was so expensive that nobody wanted to do it. Now, especially in an age where people can build their own PCs and everything like that, this is what I'm struggling with. Because, well, let me back up again. I'm sorry. When the Nintendo came out, it changed everything, because you couldn't do what you could do on Nintendo on the home computer. It wasn't possible. They couldn't side scroll a game like that. It didn't have that ability. Fast forward to today, computer games can actually perform better than consoles. I would say majority of the time. So why is it we're still buying consoles and not everybody just having a computer?
That's a good question. I have never been interested in computer gaming very much.
I haven't really either, but that's my point.
But on the flip side, I have friends that prefer playing on a computer.
Yeah.
For me, I've always been interested in consoles, and for me, it probably started with the original Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have a controller in my hand. I don't want to use a keyboard and a mouse.
Mm-hmm. But they make controllers for these computer games too.
Now they do.
Yeah.
When we were kids, it was
computer mouse, sure.
playing Wolfenstein with the directional pad,
and the keyboard, baby.
And a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Or, that's how we learned how to play Doom and Wolfenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Was a mouse.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I just prefer to have a controller in my hand.
Sure.
I don't know if it's a tactile thing or just something between a connection between my brain and my fingers. I don't know.
Right.
It just felt more natural to me to have a controller in my hand.
But do you think it's because of that era that we grew up in? Because, like I said, I go back to us. I feel like we grew up in what I'm calling the golden age of console video games.
Sure.
Do you think it's because we grew up in that we're more inclined to? Because what I see more of are the younger kids that are into the computer gaming.
Really?
Or not the consoles, right? So I see.
I don't know.
Like, I'm talking like people 10 years younger than us. Not like kids. I say kids, but I'm talking like kids and people in their 30s, right?
Yeah.
Are like early 30s are like into building their own PCs and gaming that way.
Sure, I could see that.
And I just wonder, is it because
I had friends my age also that were into that?
Yeah,
building their own computers back in the 90s,
right?
In computer gaming. But yeah, the people behind us, like 10 years behind us, I can totally see that. Like I have cousins that are about that age, and they prefer. I was always playing Nintendos and PlayStations where they were playing Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing Halo and stuff like that. And they were also into like computer games like Half-Life,
Mm-hmm.
and like Rainbow Six and stuff like that. I don't know what the draw is for consoles for me. For me, and I'm talking like kids, like your son's age. To me, I see them playing PlayStation and Xbox more than computers.
Mm-hmm.
I see them growing up more with consoles like we did.
Well, I think eventually there's a switch though, because even people that are like almost always playing, computer games and stuff like that, they're, they were the same way. When you get into the younger kids, they're not building their own PCs at that age, or most of them aren't, right? and you almost have to kind of wait, because you really do have to kind of customize your own PC to really, I mean, you can go into a store and buy a gaming PC, but you're dropping some major quan to get that, right? Where if you build it and build the components and buy the components yourself and the cabinet and everything, you can usually, get a pretty good deal. Oh yeah, that's right, Pikey.
What's that sound effect mean?
Oh yeah, Pikey just subscribed.
Oh, nice. Thank you for the sub.
So this idea though is this is where I tend to lean on why I end up going console over PC gaming. And maybe this is, I don't know, maybe this is why. Because the controller thing I get. Like I'm not good because I haven't trained my body to play with a mouse and a keyboard. Any of us can learn to do it. I really, you know what I mean? Like if you actually try it, I'm sure the repetition is going to get you there. I like the ease of turning on one switch on that PlayStation or that Switch or that Xbox or whatever console I want to play, and more than likely it's just going to work, right?
Just get right into gaming.
As opposed to a PC where you are relying on a Windows system. And we all know what happens to computers. You get viruses, you get malware, you get all this crap, and things stop working appropriately, and you got to like update, or you got to, wipe your hard drive or start over. Like I just remember being in the PC world, and that was all, like what it was on a regular basis, was fighting, trying to get the thing to work again because of something that happened. And gaming is going to be the exact same way. If that's your primary machine to game on, and that's why it's my laziness that I'm like, I want to hit that power button on that PlayStation and be up in gaming in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to firing up a PlayStation or firing up a PC and hoping that my drivers aren't out of date because there was some update done in the background on Windows.
I can understand that feeling.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but I know performance wise, it's like that. It's so much performance wise. It's so much better on a PC. Games will play faster. They'll play better. They'll look better. And again, depending on the sound card and everything, sometimes they'll even look, or sound better. You know what I mean? So
that's never been a draw for me.
You're just in it for the experience. You don't care about
the gameplay.
The gameplay.
I'm in it for the gameplay. The graphics, are second, third, fourth. That's down the line. I don't really care about those.
Yeah, and even it's being Pikey's pointing out here that it's like that's literally the way it is. And when he plays on PC, every day there's updates. He turns on his computer, and there's updates.
I feel you. I've been playing Fortnite on my PlayStation 4 a lot lately, and I'm not kidding you. Every time I turn on my PlayStation, I have to do like a 30-minute update so I can play Fortnite.
Oh yeah, it's I literally Fortnite to me is the worst, and frankly that's why I don't play a lot of those types of games, because there are constant patches, because it is such an online player interface.
Yeah.
I almost have to schedule my Fortnite time.
I do have to say this new Marvel Battle Pass that they're doing right now is phenomenal.
It's fun.
It's awesome.
It's fun. I that's what I'm saying. Like I ended up scheduling. I scheduled time. I early in the day I was like, okay. I told my son, I was like, okay, Jackson, we're gonna play Fortnite, and we're gonna play at this time, and so I'm gonna go turn my Switch on now. It's like 6 hours before we were scheduled to play, just so I could have it updated in time to play.
Yeah.
And we had a blast.
I've been doing the same thing lately. Like okay, I'd like to play Fortnite tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my PlayStation on because I know it's gonna have to do a really long update.
Yeah. And we had a blast. Like we had an absolute blast playing. We got a battle royale, and it was a blasty blast. I told him I wasn't gonna play until they got rid of all the sharks, and he promises me all the sharks are gone.
Well, there's still a few in there.
Don't tell me that, man.
They're on the coast, some of the rivers, some of the lakes. They're not nearly as bad as they were.
Sharks in the water. Our shark.
They're there. They are there.
So obviously you were a Nintendo. You're a Nintendo fanboy. You were a Nintendo fanboy growing up. You had all the systems.
At one point in my life or another, I've owned every single Nintendo system that's ever been released.
And again, Nintendo pushing ahead, pushing the industry ahead with things like Star Fox, and like all of a sudden somebody's sitting there and saying, you know what? We're going to work in a 3D environment for the first time, and we're going to move around, and we're going to have things happening in all directions and everything like that, and coming up with a way to push, basically saying we can't just put out a new system for that one game. So we have to somehow make the game work with the current hardware that millions of people have in their homes.
Yeah.
And they figured it out, and
they put that FX chip in the game,
right,
in the cartridge.
Dude, I just remember I would go to like, stores where they would have those. I don't even know if they do that anymore. I haven't really looked, but these stores used to have demos up of games, and that Star Fox game, there would be a line of kids
waiting to
play Star Fox
at
Walmart or wherever.
Target,
yeah. I mean, people would just be lined up, and you would get it, and it's like just as you would approach the controller, your mom would be like, "Okay, we gotta go," and no, like you waited all that time. Same thing with the Sega, like at the old Pizza King there in my hometown of Avon, and on a Friday night, like, unless you got there super duper early and were able to hold a booth, you were never sitting in a booth with the Sonic game, and that's all anybody wanted to play. All the rest of the Sega games were crap in comparison to Sonic. And that's
the only reason I got a Genesis.
They
for Sonic.
Oh my god!
I think I only ever had 3 games for Genesis,
and they were all Sonic 1, 2, and 3.
I don't think I got the third one. It was like Sonic 1, 2, and like an X-Men game.
Gotcha. Okay. I loved my Sonic. I loved Sonic. I had that game. Sonic 2 was my jam. Sonic 1 I was good.
Have you played Sonic Mania on the Switch?
I have not yet.
Oh, it's just it's just
like the original.
Yeah, but
see, we awesome. I have the original now because of all those those minis and the emulator systems now that they're putting out with their I have Sonic, and I think I have Sonic on the Wii even. So I have ability to play the original and everything like that. Again, it's literally like just add it to my stack of shame. Like so many games, so many movies, so many TV shows I need to get
Sonic
through.
Sonic Mania is fun because it's like the originals. You can just pick up and play.
You can just go. Okay.
Yeah, you can just go.
There's no story. Yeah, that's what I love.
You just pick up and play.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Oh my god, video games, dude! There's so much. Like, it's honestly that. I mean, that was our childhood. Like, yes, Star Wars was influential in our childhood, right? Mm-hmm. But video games in general were humongous.
Defined. The 80s and 90s.
I'm telling you, we
childhood.
grew up in the golden age of video games. I know the stuff coming out now is super cool and cinematic, and the stuff that they're able to do and push the envelope. Like that when they figured out a system of taking, again, same thing that like Nintendo did with Star Fox and putting the FX chip in. When developers figured out that they could build their loading screens in to the game by having people like slowly like walk through an area or scoot through like a hallway or whatever to build that loading in there where you didn't sit on a loading screen for 5 minutes or whatever. Brilliant idea. Just absolutely brilliant idea. I love what they're doing nowadays. And obviously we're 2 months or something away, 3 months away potentially of the next generation of video games that will take us another 8 years. I mean, just think about that. Like literally we're sitting in a year that sucks, but we're sitting in a year that is going to deliver us the next generation of video game systems that we will probably have in our homes for the next at least 8 to 10 years. Right?
Yeah.
On top of the stuff that we have, I don't even feel like it's out of date yet. You know what I mean? Because they've been able to do with some of these games that have come out even recently. Again, I know you're not a fan, but the way The Last of Us Part 2 looked, that game was beautiful. Okay, I haven't even played Ghost of Tsushima yet. Yeah. Tsushima. I haven't played that yet.
It's beautiful,
but it looks beautiful.
So, in my opinion, the most beautiful game of this era is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most beautiful game of the current PlayStation era?
Current PlayStation era, Red Dead Redemption 2. That
really?
game is absolutely incredible looking.
Even more so than Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
Wow, that's saying something. Because there was stuff in Final Fantasy VII Remake blew my damn mind. There was stuff in the motion capture they were able to do with Last of Us Part 2 blew my mind. Like I feel like there were a lot of times I felt like I was just watching a movie.
I mean, that's the way Red Dead Redemption 2 was for me. It was just
so
it's a perfect experience
from
start to finish.
Let me ask you this too, because I have a question about Red Dead Redemption 2. Do you need to play Red Dead Redemption to play Red Dead Redemption 2?
No, it's a prequel.
It's a prequel.
Yeah, it takes place before the events of the original Red Dead Redemption.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure I'd have to go to my stack of shame. I'm pretty sure I'm sitting on a disc of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
and I've never played it.
Yeah, it's a prequel. The entire thing's set before the first game.
I'll add it to my list. But you get what I'm saying. Like we there's all this new stuff that's coming out that's phenomenal, right? But then you start thinking back to when we were kids and the stuff that we had back then that's still so enjoyable today, that you can still pull out these emulator machines like the NES Mini and the Super NES Mini and play them, or the stuff like I still have some emulators that are downloaded on my Wii that I can still play as well. And you play those and I'm having a freaking blast. I literally got one afternoon. We have the Super NES Mini upstairs in the living room, and I was just bopping around on it. And I turned on Metroid, and I got sucked in. Super Metroid sucked me in, man.
That's one of my favorite games of all time.
I sat there all afternoon playing that damn game.
Yeah. Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night they're very similar type of gameplay. Those two are like two of my all-time top favorites.
That's awesome.
They probably make top 5 every time.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks for the host. Their Hosted Radio. Hosted Radio. Appreciate that.
Yeah, cool name.
Game I can never get past, Mega Man.
Those games are so hard.
I can't. Dude, I can't even do it now.
When I was a kid, I loved them. Like
I hated them as a kid.
The gameplay was impossible. They were so hard. There were so many things you had to memorize to get through, like
just patterns and stuff.
Yeah, patterns you had to memorize in one single level, that they were just so hard for me. Mm-hmm. But just the concept, just the idea of that was just so cool to me. Like a guy that had a cannon on his arm, and
you could adapt from other different.
Yeah, and you could take on different powers from different bosses you beat. Just that concept to me was just awesome.
The Mega Man concept was great. I loved it, and that's the thing. Like I kept trying to play it.
And the artwork on the box was so cool.
It was awesome. It was always awesome.
Yeah, it was just a cool idea. But those games were so hard.
I couldn't. I could never. Like there was only probably in that first Mega Man game, there was probably only 2 levels that I could get past. I mean, again, we have them on the mini NES. I tried to play one back when I first got that mini NES, and I don't even think I could get past. I think I could get past 1. I don't think I could get past anymore. I think maybe, like you said, maybe if I sat down and really took the time, I can maybe do it. But I don't know. Mega Man was never my jam. I could never.
I can usually make it to the boss, but the boss usually mops the floor with me in those games.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then obviously all the Mario games were super fun. I finished most of them. I wasn't as much of a Nintendo fanboy as you were. Like I didn't live and breathe and die with Nintendo, right? Because I diversified. I was NES, Sega. I had a Super Nintendo for a while, but it was towards the end of the Super Nintendo life. Again, not the refresh, but like the original, design.
Yeah. And that's my favorite era, Super Nintendo era.
Yeah. But I took all of
my favorite game is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past from the Super
That's
Nintendo.
Your favorite? Okay.
Favorite
all-time game.
Yep.
I was going to ask you what that was. So Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Gotcha.
Favorite game of all time. I absolutely love that game.
Okay. Fair enough.
And Super Metroid would probably be a close second or third.
Super Metroid. I loved how they flipped it on its head during the GameCube era and made Metroid a first-person. I loved that game.
Yeah, there's doing a 4th one for the Switch.
About damn time.
Right.
I mean, it's been a while, right? Like, I don't remember when the last Metroid game came out.
Yeah. They had a remake of the Game Boy one, came out a couple years ago.
Okay. That's my favorite Link game, was the Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. That's always been my favorite game, and to the point where I remember having a conversation with Jackson about it, and he, when it came out for the Switch, he really wanted he's like, I'm saving up my money and I'm going to buy that for you. I never did get it, but
It's great. It's so cool.
I loved that game on the Game Boy. That was my favorite. That was my favorite Link game.
It looks so cute and like bright and happy.
It'd be just weird to see it instead of green and black.
It's so cool, dude. So cool.
And then you had, the Mario game for the Game Boy, which is just it was almost as strange as Mario 2.
Land.
Super Mario Land.
Yep.
Wario was the bad guy, right? Is that where Wario started?
He was in Super Mario Land 2 was when Mario started.
Oh.
Or was when Wario started.
Who was the big bad in Super Mario Land then?
It was something weird like Wart.
It was like a wart thing or whatever. And that's the thing, like Super Mario 2.
Because he didn't have fireballs. He threw like bullets or like super balls that like bounced off the walls.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh. It's so much. What was the name that Super Mario 2 was supposed to be? Something Doki Doki Panic.
Yeah, it was not a Mario game in Japan.
Right.
They
just reskinned it.
Yeah, they reskinned it with Mario characters.
Which is funny because even then, though, it gave us some of the classic Mario characters that we...
Yeah, Shy Guy.
Wart was there. What was the other one? Oh, the Birdo.
Birdo, yeah. That's from Mario 2.
Again, you think it's a throwaway game.
Those cactus things.
Yeah, you think it's a throwaway game, but it actually contributed to the Mario lore, know?
It's canon.
It's canon. Damn it! Even though it was a dream.
Yeah.
What a wild. That was a wild ride, wild game. And it was all because the original Super Mario 2 was just a complete rehash of Super Mario Brothers, except 20 times harder.
Yeah, it was very
hard. It was ridiculously hard.
Yeah, released here on Super Mario All-Stars: The Lost Levels.
Right. Yep.
Which actually gets re-released on the Switch this Friday.
I heard about that, and it's like they're packaging a bunch of the games together. Like you get Mario.
There's two. There's Super Mario 3D All Stars that comes out on Friday, and then the original from the Super Nintendo, Super Mario All Stars.
Okay.
That had Mario 1, 2, and 3, and the Lost Levels.
Gotcha.
On it, so both of those games come out on the Switch on Friday.
Our aunt used to have. Do you remember the Game & Watch?
I do remember the Game & Watch.
You remember Jody having the Game & Watch?
I do remember the Game & Watch.
The Mario Brothers Game & Watch. Yep, she still has that. I reached out to her the other day and asked her. I was like, "Do you still have that Game & Watch?"
Yeah, that thing's awesome.
It's not. You would think that something like that would be like buku dollars, but I checked on eBay and it's only going for like $50 or something like that. It's not
you can find them.
Yeah, it's not ridiculously expensive. They must have made a lot.
The one she had was like a truck. Like Mario was like taking stuff off a truck. Or it was like a factory. It was coming out.
It was a factory. It was boxes.
Put it on the truck.
Right. So it was like you had your two guys on each side of the flip out thing, and one of them moved it over to the other one, and you'd have to move them up, and then you had to move the other guy depending on what level that Mario sent it over to Luigi to load on the truck. Like that was the idea.
Yeah. I had one where it was like babies falling out of a building.
Oh my gosh.
It was like babies falling out of a building, and Mario had like a trampoline trying to catch the babies with a trampoline.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So your favorite
But there's a new Game & Watch coming out. Have you seen this?
No.
Yes, new Game & Watch coming out.
They don't need a new Game & Watch.
I think it comes out in November. It's Super Mario Brothers.
Oh my gosh.
On a Game & Watch.
I just
for the 35th anniversary of Mario.
Will you be buying it as a Nintendo fanboy?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
You need help.
It's a Game & Watch, dude. It's like the size of an iPhone. It's like as thin as one. It has like I think it's a USB-C charger. Super Mario Brothers. It's a watch also. It has like 35 different watch faces.
Do you still have your Virtual Boy?
I still have my Virtual Boy.
Oh my god! Have you ever gotten rid of anything Nintendo? Like, do you have all of it?
No, I don't. I wish I still had it all.
Like, do you still have Rob somewhere?
I still have Rob.
Okay.
I still have my Power Glove.
Did Rob ever work?
Yes and no. Yes and no. When I got it when I was 5 years old, I could never figure it out.
Okay.
What I would end up doing is having my little brother do the Rob part for me on Gyromite. I would have him push the buttons to open the different red and blue walls on Gyromite for me. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I would put my little brother to work as doing Rob's job.
Nice.
But yeah, I never could figure that out because it had Gyromite or it had gyroscopes.
right.
on it, and I mean, he would like move around, he would like twist around,
Right.
you know, I could get him plugged in. I just couldn't get him to do gyromite.
Okay.
I couldn't get him to press the buttons to open the walls on gyromite.
Gotcha. I don't know. I never saw it work. I would see it at your house all the time. I would see it sitting over in a corner collecting dust. I never saw that damn thing. That robot work.
I still have it, and it still has about an inch of dust on it. Same thing with my power glove. I still have it.
You still have a power glove?
Yeah, it has about an inch of dust on it.
Oh my god!
I tried it on the other day.
And your fingers like stick about that far out of it.
Yeah, my fingers stick about that far out of it.
It's crazy.
Pretty funny.
What? Yeah.
I think there were two different sizes. I think I had the smaller size.
How many attachments did you get for your Game Boy? Did you get the old attachment that I can't think of what it was called, but it had like a magnifier on it, so like it like flipped over the top of it, and, like folded out, like turned the damn thing into a freaking battleship.
Yeah, it was like a transformer. It came down and had a little light. I had one of those.
You had one of those?
Yep.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So like I said, there's stuff Nintendo, like for every good thing they gave us.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah, for every brilliant idea, they gave us some
There's a Virtual
turds.
Boy.
There's a Virtual Boy. Oh, the Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And frankly, like
I think I have 3 or 4 games for that.
I mean,
it still works perfectly.
The Virtual Boy?
Virtual Boy works perfect.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You should have brought it for some show and tell.
I'll bring it next time.
You had Nintendo when the 64 came out. You know, again, they were competing with what would they been competing with at the time? PlayStation. And their cartridge, because they refused. God, do you remember that? They just refused to go to anything but a cartridge.
Well, you know that the PlayStation originally came from Nintendo.
Yes.
So I mean that was like Nintendo and Sony hooked up,
right, to make a CD system or whatever.
Yeah, and there actually is a Nintendo PlayStation out there somewhere,
right, floating around. I've seen pictures of it. Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine they had a pretty bad falling out with Sony,
right,
which made them refuse to
go back to or go
back to a CD-ROM.
Yep. And then they
were cartridge only.
So then they had
the 64.
They did a 64
the PlayStation competitor,
and because PlayStation, the amount of data that they could hold on their CD-ROMs, they went with a disk drive that never really got. I don't think it ever got released in the United States. I think it maybe hit Japan, but it was meant to just be like a floppy floppy disk drive or whatever, where you could put it in there, and it had some games or whatever that they had announced for it. But I don't think anything ever came to fruition with it. I said, it kind of sprinkled out there. I'm sure you can probably get 1 or 2 of them here or there. Mm-hmm. But then finally with the GameCube, they went to the mini. They couldn't even do normal media, for God's sakes, Nintendo. Like you had to do a mini disc, a mini DVD.
They were worried about piracy.
Yeah, well, and they've always, and again, even when they were doing the original games, you had to chip your own game and everything like that, and it was weird. It was they were always worried about, because of the video game crash in '83. They said, we're not getting into that kind of thing. We're not having people build all of like their own Nintendos, and we're not having people try to take all those old video games and whatever. And do you remember the Game Genie? That was a huge deal because they cracked the code. They cracked the Nintendo chip code, and that was like lawsuit city.
Yeah.
But did you ever own one? Did you ever own a Game Genie?
Yeah, I think I did. I don't remember, doing a whole lot with it.
I don't either. I just remember it was like
one.
They made you think that thing was gonna, win Mega Man for you or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember it doing a whole lot.
No, I don't think
there was a bunch of codes you had to type in.
You had a huge book of codes. But that was it. Like that was basically, I think you got a hotline you could call. Man, there was a Nintendo hotline. Remember the Nintendo hotline?
Yeah, I called them a few times.
Because this is all pre-internet, you know what I mean? Like we didn't, like now you get stuck on a game. It's like, well, let me look at YouTube. Somebody else has figured it out at some point, right?
Yeah.
No, not back then, man. Back then you were on your own or you were calling the hotline.
Yeah, I don't remember what I called about, but I do remember calling.
Probably Zelda.
A couple of times.
Probably trying to find something in Zelda that you needed to find.
Very possibly true. But I do remember calling that hotline a few times.
It's crazy. I think probably my favorite game of all time, and we've gone over this before, is still Final Fantasy VII, the original, the one for the PlayStation, the original PlayStation back in 94. I
thought it was 97.
97. I think you're right. I think it's 97. That's
when I traded in my Nintendo and my Super Nintendo was to get a PlayStation and to get Final Fantasy VII specifically for the PlayStation.
Wow.
And I've been kicking myself ever
That's
since.
a huge investment, man.
I wish I still had my Nintendo and my Super Nintendo.
Were you the one telling me that you had a 64 and GoldenEye?
Yeah, I still have that.
Okay. I want to bring that over and set it up and
yeah, I still have all my 64 games and controllers.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have all that stuff.
I need to bring it over. I want to set it up. I want to stream it. I want to have some fun with GoldenEye.
You can stream.
Oh, I can figure it out, baby.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You can stream a 64?
Oh, absolutely.
Huh.
You just got to have the right adapters.
Okay.
I will figure it out.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you. There's a couple questions I wanted to ask you before we get out of here. If you had to come up with your Mount Rushmore of video games, who's on that? Who's on Mount Rushmore?
Who's on Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
Mario.
Okay.
Link. Samus.
Samus. Okay.
Yeah, I'd put Samus up there.
And again,
probably Sonic.
Sonic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'd be your 4.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's. I'd say that's respectable. And again, you're kind of looking at it from a Nintendo standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fanboy. That's gonna, shade my eyes,
right?
Or, cloud my eyes.
Mario, again, by far is always he's my George Washington up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Link is obviously up, is up there as well. I went a little out of the box, and I put Lara Croft up there.
Okay.
I get where you're going with Samus. It was weird. As a kid, I didn't know that was a girl until God knows when. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took me a while to realize that.
Yeah.
Mainly because they hid her underneath that outfit, for the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And so realistically, she was like the first strong female action video game star, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she probably.
I was familiar with it because I was familiar with the Justin Bailey code from the original Metroid.
Gotcha.
Type in the Justin Bailey code.
I don't know the Justin Bailey. I know the Konami code.
You don't know the Justin Bailey code?
What's the Justin Bailey code?
You just, like, on Metroid, you just typed in Justin Bailey, and then I think like a bunch of underscores on the second row.
Oh, really?
Underneath it, and it took her out of her suit, and she was, just a woman running around.
Oh, wow. Okay.
With a hand cannon.
Interesting.
Instead of the suit, the Metroid suit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's where I tend to put like
zero suit. It was Zero Suit Samus.
Zero Suit
instead of the Metroid suit.
I tend to put Lara Croft over Samus. I know Metroid came first and everything like that, but I just felt like Lara was, to me, the one that they put out there prominently as, like, here is a strong female character. Like, they advertised it that way. Like, that's what it's going to be. So I put her up on my Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
And then my last one is Master Chief, just because he created the Xbox. Like, he made the Xbox what it is.
So, and I'm a Xbox hater. I hate on the Xbox.
I don't play Halo.
I'm a hater.
You know what I mean? But I appreciate what that game did for that system.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so I tried to give at least some of the systems, some love. Sonic should be up there.
I'm not an Xbox guy.
So it's a tough call between that. And I'd probably put Sonic. So I have Mario, Link. There's 4 on Mount Rushmore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mario, Link. Yeah, I'd probably put Sonic over Master Chief. I'd put Sonic over Master Chief. And then Lara.
Cool.
That's who I do. Forget Master Chief. Hell with you, Xbox lovers.
I don't know. I'm a hater. I've never. I had an original Xbox. I played Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind is what I bought it for.
I never had the original Xbox.
And I had the 2 KOTOR games, the Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the only 3 games I had for it. I didn't like the controller. It felt like I had like a big cheeseburger in my hand.
Right, big brick is what it kind of felt like. They still kind of feel that way, honestly.
Yeah, I've never cared to own another Microsoft machine after that.
Yeah, I had the 360, and then now I have the one. I will not be buying the Series X or Series S, either one of them. I will not do that. I don't see that. I don't feel like there's any games or launch title games or anything like that where it's screaming for me to buy an Xbox. Like when the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out, they were so similar, and it was hard to figure out which one to get.
Yeah.
And launch title wise, there wasn't one that stood out over the other. Like they were all pretty similar. But I personally can't wait for the PS5. I think it looks freaking cool, and I'm super excited. I will be getting the disc version, possibly. Here's why I say that, because I'm not sure if they're doing backwards compatibility or not.
I read an article about that recently.
Is it the same article where Black Widow was going over to?
Yeah, where Black Widow was a Fox movie.
It was a Fox movie.
Not a Disney movie. Yeah, I apologize for that. That was ignorant.
We still love you.
Yeah. No. I read an article recently about that, and they're saying it's only backwards compatible for the PS4, not 1, 2, and 3.
Really?
Yeah, it's backward compatible only for PS4 and PS5 games.
And see, that's what bums me out, because I had PS3 games. Now I still have a PS3. I still have the big boy PS3, the 60 gig or whatever.
And that one was backwards compatible for 1, 2, and 1.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
Yeah,
exactly.
So my PS3, so I can still play and I still have some. I still have some PS1 and some PS2.
Because that's and
PS3 games.
Like, to me, that's where the Metal Gear games come in. Like, I have that system that I can play the old Metal Gear games on. That's what I liked about that, was you can't play it on PlayStation 4, unfortunately. Okay, so here was the other thing I wanted to ask you about. I want to get into my stack of shame. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
And because I know you have very strong feelings about this stuff, but don't look at this list from your perspective. Look at it from my perspective. Okay, not what you would personally play next, based off of already playing the games, or how the games you like to digest, or anything like that. Look at it from the perspective of, what kind of games I like to play, right? And where my skill level is on playing, and entertainment value. And obviously I'll probably be doing streaming while playing them and things like that. Uh-huh. Let me give you my list of games that I currently own that I haven't played yet. Okay. I'm trying to find the next game I'm going to play, because I just got done with Detroit Become Human, which I freaking loved. Like, that was a phenomenal, like, it was just like Beyond Two Souls. It was playing through a movie. Like, that's what it felt like. Mm-hmm. It was such a good story.
Yeah. That company does a really good job, with the cinematic stories.
Yeah.
And kind of choose your own adventure.
Yeah. And that was just recommended to me by somebody on stream that was like, hey, you should really play this game. So anyway, here's the games I have not played yet that are sitting in my stack of shame. Spider-Man, Fallout, what's the most recent one?
4.
Hard Rain, which is the same company that makes those other games.
Yeah.
That actually was the first one that they did before Beyond Two Souls.
And that's the only one I've played.
Hard Rain?
Hard Rain's the only one I haven't played the one with Ellen Page and the Detroit.
Gotcha.
I haven't played those.
The music we talked about the music in Beyond Two Souls, and the music in Detroit Become Human is just as good.
Really?
It's a different composer, but it's just as good.
Huh.
So Hard Rain's Ghost of Tsushima, okay, Metal Gear Phantom Pain, Marvel's Avengers that just came out, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Alien Isolation, and the first Uncharted game. I was thinking about getting into the Uncharted series.
Really? The only one I haven't played is the Alien game.
Alien Isolation. Yeah. That game's just going to scare the absolute poop out of me. Like, I know that. Like, I know that's what's going to happen. I know that's going to be a scream fest for me, probably.
Okay.
So Spider-Man, Fallout, Hard Rain, Ghost of Tsushima, Metal Gear Phantom Pain, Marvel's Avengers, Dark Souls, Bloodborne.
Oh, and I haven't played Marvel. I haven't played the Marvel game yet.
Alien Isolation, and the Uncharted series.
I
do eventually, don't get me wrong, I do eventually plan on buying the God of War series and going back and playing those games by your recommendation. I think that'll be really good. I just want to get through the ones I already own first. Oh,
Sure.
and Red Dead Redemption 2. I think I have
That would be my recommendation for
top
of the
top
list.
of
Anybody's
over
list.
Ghost of Tsushima. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but let's take that one out of the mix in case I don't have it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What do you think?
Do you like the sandbox games where you have like a where you can kind of do a lot of different things? You can kind of go where you want in the city, and and save somebody, or or not even worrying about people. Just
Like non-linear?
yeah,
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, like non-linear sandbox games, like Grand Theft Auto. Do you like those types of games where you kind of choose your own adventure and kind of go wherever you want?
Yeah,
Or do you prefer to stay away from those ones?
That's interesting. I like them
because a lot of the ones on that list are sandbox games
they're just kind of like you have your basic story path that you can go.
You can follow. You don't have to.
But then you've got a lot of side.
You have of side adventures.
And like Final Fantasy, like that's what I did. Like I went out here and did a lot of So if the game is interesting me, then I will do that.
Yeah.
If the game is not, then I will just want to get it done and go kind of push through the story, kind of like what you did with Final Fantasy VII. Like you just wanted to get through it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I would say yeah. I like being able to. I like having that option of follow the path or get off the path.
Okay. To me, I feel like Metal Gear Solid did a really good job of that.
Really?
A lot of fun side quests.
Okay.
And Phantom Pain.
Okay.
A lot of fun side quests.
Okay.
Spider-Man is also along those same lines.
Right.
They don't have it isn't like as much of a deep dive into all those fun little side quests.
Length of game. How long is Metal Gear versus Spider-Man? And if you take a majority of the side quests and
they're probably comparable.
About the same. Like, what do you think though? Like,
you probably spend 30, 40 hours with each.
Okay. So not awful.
Yeah, not awful.
Okay.
I mean, if you just wanted to do, bare bones minimum, you could probably get through them like, 10, 12 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Each. But I mean, if you like really, like I did, I loved the side quests in Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain.
Okay. How was Hard Rain?
Hard Rain's, I loved it. It was awesome.
Just like playing through a movie, right? Just like these other ones.
Yeah. Is it Quantic? Is that Quantic?
Yeah, I think
Dreams,
so.
Or is that the
Sounds
company?
right.
Okay. So there was something about my love for that game that I didn't care to play their other games because I don't remember exactly what it was, but that Ellen Page one, they did something with it and it made me completely turned off. Because I loved Hard Rain so much. It's really cool. Very cinematic,
kind of noir, right? Like, is that the idea of it?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I played it when it very first came out. I don't exactly remember. I remember, it being kind of like a murder mystery. I think.
Speaking of murder mystery, there is a game. I can't think of what it's called now. Maybe you know what this is if I describe it to you. There's a game out right now. It's cross-platform. I think it's like you can get it for PC or console, but it's almost like you're playing through a storybook. Fables, right? So like your main character is the big bad wolf, but he's like a human kind of thing, and you meet these other storybook characters as you play through this murder mystery. It's like Snow White is like your partner and stuff.
It's based on a graphic novel. I can't think of the name of it, but I know exactly.
You know what you're talking about?
Yeah,
you haven't played it though.
It's those the company went under. It's those Telltale games.
Okay.
I've played some of their games. I played they did a Back to the Future sequel.
Okay.
And I played that one all the way through.
But I just like the animation style looked neat.
Yeah, it's fun. They're kind of similar to like that Hard Rain type of style.
Right.
Like you kind of walk your character along.
Yeah.
And, there's kind of point and click adventure type stuff, but there's also like quick time events.
Yeah, I do like those types of games. Like I do find myself enjoying those games where I don't have to think too terribly fast or react too terribly fast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's why I'm really torn like on what to play. Obviously, like you said, if I do have Redemption 2 in there, I'll probably play that. So what's your thoughts on Ghost then? Are you not like?
I love Ghost of Tsushima. It's a sandbox game also.
Okay.
It's similar to Spider-Man and Phantom Pain.
Gotcha.
I haven't finished it yet. I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten so detailed into the side quests that I've kind of forgotten about the main quest. So I need to bring myself back around.
Gotcha.
And finish up the story. Because I've spent so much time on the site. I love those types of games. I love those sandbox games where you can kind of create your own adventure and go off on a path. And, that path, might last you 5 minutes and it might last you 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I love those types of games.
Mm. Interesting.
And Ghost of Tsushima is probably, since Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, it's probably the best sandbox type game that I've played.
Okay. Wow. Why was everybody going gaga over Spider-Man? Like, why was that one such a big deal?
It was just a fun game. I mean, it's the Sinister Six.
Okay.
Just having a game where you're Spider-Man and getting your butt beat by the Sinister Six is pretty cool. I don't know. It was just a fun game. You could climb all the way up to the Empire State Building. There were multiple Spider-Man outfits you could collect.
Mm-hmm.
It had a really cool relationship between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. It was just cool.
Gotcha.
It was fun.
I have to really noodle. It's hard. I'm having a hard time trying to decide. I do leave next week. I'm gone all week, so I hate to get into a game and then forget the controls. I always have that problem. That is a problem of mine where you need that muscle memory. Takes a while to come back. After you walk away for something for a week or start playing another game or whatever.
And I would say those sandbox games are like that.
Yeah,
because each one is slightly different than the other.
Right.
And at this point in Ghost of Tsushima, each the triangle, square, circle, and X button, each one of those is a different sword fighting stance, and you have to switch stances for every enemy.
Gotcha.
So just remembering those key punches for me at this point, because I've been playing Fortnite for weeks.
Right. And that's where your brain, trust me,
it's going to be muscle memory.
I sat down to play Fortnite a couple days ago. I was like, it took me, I finally told Jazz, he was trying to talk to me and I felt bad, but he was trying to talk to me about something completely unrelated. And I was like, shush. I'm concentrating because I couldn't remember what button does. And it was me and one other guy. It was literally up to me to get the battle royale. And I was just and he was telling me about his day or something. And I was like, shush. Because I couldn't remember. I was panicking. I was trying to remember what button did what. And that's where I'm thinking, do I hold off on starting a new adventure? I call those my adventure games, the Spider, you call it the sandbox games. I know it's probably the right term for it, but I call them my adventure games. I want, Final Fantasy was an adventure game. I know it's a role playing game, but to me, that's my adventure game because I'm going to go on an adventure with these people for a while. I'm going to be a part of this team for a while, and this game is going to be a part of my life for a while.
Okay. So that would be Spider-Man, that would be Metal Gear, that would be Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Heavy Rain, I would lump that in there. You're going to want to invest some time into that one. Mm-hmm. I haven't played Alien. I'm not too sure on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want a good adventure, I would probably start with Metal Gear.
Okay.
It was cool, and it's going to wrap up the story for you in a decent way. I wish Hideo Kojima and Konami hadn't had such a falling out.
See, did you notice that Death Stranding wasn't even on my list? It's still sitting in my stack of shame, but it's not even on my list. That is literally the bottom of my priorities. That is when I don't have anything else to play.
Yeah, that's a sandbox style type game too. Right. I could not get into it. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan. And it had a lot of cool things in it. I like Norman Reedus. I like Guillermo del Toro, and they're both featured in it a ton.
Right.
And I just was not interested.
Do I need to play Ground Zeroes before I play?
Margaret Qualley's in it, and I wanted to see how I like her as an actress. I wanted to see her part in it. I didn't even care to get to that part because the gameplay was so bad. You have to use the the trigger buttons to balance.
Right? I remember you telling me about this.
His pack, like every time you take a step, you have to like kind of press down on the trigger buttons.
Like for some reason, Kojima like came out and said, "I wanted this to be an endurance test for the player." Like he wanted you to feel worn out playing the game for the repetitiveness of what this guy's job was or something. But that's him. He was coked out of his mind when he said that. So, what do I need to play Ground Zeroes before I play Phantom Pain? Like, do I need that? Like, is it included in Phantom Pain?
Yeah,
it is. It's a part of the full game.
It's part of the narrative.
Okay.
Yeah, just jump straight into Phantom Pain.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I will do that. I just, again, video games, it's one of those, it's honestly one of those topics we'll revisit as time goes on, especially as we get closer to the launch of the new systems and things and as new games come out. But I mean, dude, we have come such a long way from Pong and paddles to what we're experiencing today.
Yeah.
And not even the gimmicky stuff of VR or motion controlled things. Or
that article I read about the guy who created Pac-Man, that's what he's doing now. He's interested in like those haptic suits and creating like wearables,
making a real Ready Player One system.
Yeah, video game wearables. That's what he's into now.
It's that's probably where we're headed. You know, again, it depends on how gimmicky it really gets. As long, again, games can continue to be, in my opinion, even at the level of what the original NES was, as long as they're enjoyable. That's why you still see side-scrolling platformers,
the gameplay
in some of these new systems.
Classic gameplay.
Yeah.
Not graphics, it's gameplay.
It's gameplay and story. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, when they made the move to some cinematic style storytelling, I mean, obviously one of my favorite games to play of all time was Wing Commander 3, when they had Hollywood style cinematics. Yeah. They had Mark Hamill, they had
and John Rice
Davis. Help me out. Biff. Whatever the hell his name is. They had these guys in a Wing Commander movie.
It's Thomas Wilson.
Wilson. Thank you, Tom Wilson. He's phenomenal.
If I was directing movies, I would put him in every single one.
Every single movie. He's phenomenal. In The Heat, I love it when he shows up in The Heat. She's holding my balls. Like, that is just like, what a great classic line of, the Tic Tac bang. Anyway, The Heat. We love The Heat. Probably watch The Heat tonight. It's just incredible where we came from, where a level of video games, how cinematic video games have become, from the cinematic scores of the Medal of Honor series to some of the cinematic styles of games like Red Dead, Redemption and Last of Us Part 2, and playing through movies and everything. I mean, literally, like, there is a movie, I think it's called Erica. It's an actual movie that you can play through, and it's like a choose your own adventure movie on the PlayStation. It's wild. It was wild to play.
They have one on Netflix.
I know they do have a choose your own adventure on
Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Bandersnatch.
Yeah. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. And that Until Dawn is one that I've played. It's like, choose your own adventure movie.
Yeah.
It's like a horror movie with Rami Malek.
Yeah. It's just wild, like, what they've been able to do with these things.
Yeah, it's a fun ride.
So anyway, that's our show.
No sound effects? Oh, we did. We had the rap horn.
Rap horn.
Rap horn.
Anyway, where can the kids find you these days on social media?
I'm on
not at your house. We don't want them stalking you.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter at the Rutledge.
At the Rut Legend.
Yeah.
Check him out at Twitter at the Rutledge. And you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Zach M. Rutledge. Brandon, thank you so much for participating, for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've been amazing, as always.
Yeah, I know.
Appreciate it. You know, great. Peace out, folks.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.